Let's go around the room. Start on the right side.
How's it going? 518. It's your boy King Hayes.
It's your boy Donald D.
What up? It's your man, Mr. V. How you?
My name is Chindi.
And this is Tabitha.
What's going on? I mean, before we got on, we was having interest.
Not to control. And can I get some more energy, please, Tabitha? Like everybody would back. Like, hi, this is Tabitha.
Should I say it like the dudes say it? Like,
yes.
Yo, this is Tabitha.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. So before we got on air, we was basically having like a mean debate, and I sparked an interest debate. We're gonna see that question for later, but.
Question of the day, ladies and gentlemen.
Question of the day. But we want to start with that cowboy from Alabama, Roy Moore.
Yeah, Big Roy.
Big Roy out here touching kids, allegedly. And, you know, it's deep. If you're not familiar with Roy Moore, I'm not familiar with him either, but we do have an expert in here, Tabitha, or experts and stuff. You know, I'm an idiot out here in the streets.
So I'll touch on it a little bit. That'll let Tabitha slide. I want to segue to Tabitha, bring that energy. You know, Roy Moore was running for Senate seat of Alabama. You know, they're trying. He was heavily endorsed by, you know, Donald Trump, because they said the Republicans wanted to keep the power in, you know, with the Republicans within the Senate. He was accused of being a, you know, child molester and also hitting on young girls. As he was, you know, in his 30s and 40s, these girls were as young as 13, 14, 15. So he ended up losing the election to, we'll see, Donald Jones. Donald Jones. And what we're touching on right now is the fact of there's a video that's going viral now of Roy Moore supporters saying that there's nothing wrong with him being a 30, 40-year-old adult hitting on 14-year-old girls. Some have gone as far as to say, back 40 years ago, it was acceptable. And now, and some have said, I have a 14-year-old daughter, and I would be happy that she's been hit on by a 40-year-old lawyer because he's successful. Now, how do we feel about that?
You guys want to go around the room, or?
Let me, since you talking.
Okay, so I'll jump right in. I'll jump right in and state that I question the sincerity of people who say that. I find it questionable to think that if there was a child in any kind of proximity to you, or most people have concern for children in general. So any child within any proximity to you, you would have this, you know, need or want to protect them. And I find it kind of suspicious that they would say that about someone who's supposed to hold public office. Not that you have to be perfect, but just the simple fact that if you're going to hold public office, then, you know, you would think that you'd want to put someone in the office that isn't going to be jeopardizing the life of children or endangering children. So I question their sincerity when they say that they don't care or wouldn't mind or would be flattered if they, you know, hit on their children or their child at that matter. And I think it ties into the fact that currently in politics, we have a party politics, bipartisan dichotomy or dynamic in our country, whereas I'm almost like it's football. I'm this fan, I'm a fan of this team, and I'm going to root for my team regardless. Win or lose, I'm riding for my team, and I think that's basically where we are as a country. And the final thing I'll say is that they also have, I would say in that group, in that party, they have a propaganda wing. So they know how to make bad things look good and make good things look bad, and sort of like they're spin doctors. And that's what I'll weigh in on that.
All right. So, D, you guys understand that one?
Yeah, well, this is Mr. D coming at you. I have an opinion, and I feel like my opinion is common. Any man that's over age messing with a child that brain is really not fully grown yet, that's a problem. And by that being a problem, I have, well, grandkids. And my granddaughter is 12 years old. And if that was to happen to my granddaughter, I would bring charges. I would take that initiative to have him arrested and blown up in the media, because there's no reason for a grown man to do anything to a child that's not worthy of teaching them something that's edifying and nourishing to their brain, mind, heart, and soul. So, with me, the way I feel is that no man of whatever nationality, whatever politics, be a mayor, a judge, a lawyer, I don't care what he is. But when you cross that boundary line by touching, feeling, or in any shape, form, or fashion molesting a child is wrong, and he should be up under the jail.
Absolutely, man. No excuses. No excuses. I mean, I'm sitting here with fathers. I'm sitting here with uncles. I'm sitting here with brothers, sisters. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's not right because you never know. And the thing about it, I try to put myself in a position of like helplessness. You know, and I try to equate it to any time that I've been in a situation where I couldn't protect myself or wasn't strong enough or powerful enough to do it, how it made me feel. So now I'm looking at, a 14, 15-year-old girl with a grown man, like, it's a scary situation, regardless, you know what I mean?
I also think that when you look at a guy like Roy Moore, I'll take on Tabitha here, from Tabitha, I'll pick up from her, where she's saying that it's just politics. If it was Dag Jones who was accused of sexually molesting teenagers, wow, you would have seen that on Fox News being overblown, and they would have made sure that Dag Jones was destroyed. It's party politics. He's a Republican, so we're going to give him more chances because he stands for our other values, even though we disagree with the fact. And they're not going to say we disagree with him because they would look foolish and say that. So they say, oh, no, it's okay. But in actual fact, deep inside, it's probably not okay even for them. That's what my view is.
All right, so I'm going to play devil's advocate. So, good versus evil. I don't care which party you're part of. If it's an evil, thing to do, you're not going to say it's okay. But is it saying that is that rest of the society looking at this, what you're doing is wrong? Us wagging the finger like no, or that's normal in that side of the country, like Alabama.
Come on, I mean, it should be. I mean, from where we are for society, it's considered unnatural for a man that to want somebody at. And we understand, back in the day, you had older men with younger women. That's already played, but now times have changed. Like back in the day, it was okay. It was acceptable for a man to beat his wife. Is that okay today? Should we allow that? We were talking about football later. Ray Rice hit his woman, and now his career is over.
Yeah.
Like, can we do that? So like Shindy said, it depends on if I'm riding with Roy Moore, I'm riding with him through whatever. And I think it plays the politics. It's the politics. Like we might say it's wrong, but these people are really. I believe some believe that it's okay, but I also believe some are just saying that kind of like to soften the blow. Like what Roy Moore, he's like any other man. Just like they're doing with Trump. Trump's a man. He should do this. He should be able to do this and do that. I mean, that's just what it is. That's what society is kind of trying to build with society. I think that's why Trump got in office, because he kind of made people say, what, it's not so bad for me to call that black man that. It's not so bad for me to touch that girl or say this about that girl. Because look at all the people that's coming out about sexual assault in Hollywood. It's all coming out. But who set that trend? That trend was set by I think by this current election. All those trends were set, and I think people now are coming out and fighting against those trends that were set. But what do you do? Like how do you look at it? I think now it's more or less like, if I'm rocking with Trump, whatever Trump believes, whatever he does, it's okay. If he touches, he'll grab them by what us men do. They do that all the time, or that's disgusting. Whatever side line, it's only two sides of the lines now, and I think that's where it's at now. You know what I mean?
And I'll take your point about whether, just playing devil's advocate, let's live in that realm where somehow, some way, that's acceptable for some individuals. And to take Vernon's point, in the past, we've evolved beyond a lot. There was a lot of questionable things happening in the past, especially in rural areas. Not anything against rural people, but I think just because the oversight wasn't there and the agency wasn't there for children, there were things happening. And during slavery, things has happened. there's a lot of questionable, but now we've evolved to a certain level, and we still have, to your point about Me Too and the phenomenon surrounding that, it's a demonstration of how much further we have yet to go. Because it's still, in some circles, in some areas, acceptable to violate women, and people don't see it as a violation, and they just see it as boys being boys or things of that nature. So I think we're just in a state of evolution to getting to a better place.
Absolutely, but again, like I said, I'm sitting next to myself being a father of a daughter, Donald D having a daughter as well as a granddaughter, and King Hayes, man, he has a daughter too, younger than my daughter. So I mean, like, we come from in that realm, like, so your mind's different when you have a child, when you have a daughter. We're very, very different, especially coming from everything here. Like, our thing is about protecting our daughter. So when I think about, like, my daughter being helpless back into a corner and feeling that way, like, my first instinct is to, go off right there. You know what I'm saying? How y'all feel about that over there?
I don't have a child. I have a 3-year-old niece.
See what I'm saying? That's the same thing.
But
I feel like it's every adult's responsibility to protect children and and to keep them out of danger. So I find it questionable that I question their sincerity when they say, "Oh, it would be a compliment" or something like that. I don't think they really feel that way.
The sad part is I don't. I think that they really think like that, yo. I think like that. What you thinking, Hayes?
I definitely feel that down south mentality. That's just part of their culture. That they're used to that. Up here, up north, unfortunately, we can't experience what they live through, but they find that acceptable, and that's horrible because we can't, as a people, go down there and necessarily fit in with their views of life because it's completely hard. We see stuff completely different. Not a day would go by that I would be acceptable with a 40-year-old DA talking to my daughter for any reason. So, for them to say that, and be like, "Oh, nah, this was perfectly normal, it's perfectly fine for me." It's hard to grasp.
I want to fight them myself. Yeah, I'm mad. I want to throw some hands myself.
I want to all the people in interview,
line them up,
saying all that. Definitely line them up.
Yeah. Well, I've heard, I know about, there is some places in the South that marry brothers, sisters, family.
Yeah, that's that down south mentality.
And for you to say that you want the blood to stay in the family because you have money, it's astronomical. I've never heard of an uncle fooling around with his brother's daughter.
Yeah, but it happens though.
It just don't make sense.
I mean, that's a huge thing.
Can you make that big?
Okay.
Yeah, I see it.
I think, for me, I kind of take from what Tabitha said, and here's the reason why. Even in the South, when that guy Romo was messing with kids at the mall, there were police he was banned from the mall there. They told him he can't come there because they knew it was wrong. They knew it was kind of powerful, so they just probably didn't want to overdo it. But they banned him from going to the mall. The former police officer testified about how he was banned. So even in the South, they knew, and that was a small town in the South, that there's something wrong with that.
The final thing I want to say about this too is we can't beat up on the South knowing this is a pervasive problem throughout the country and the world. So we can't make it seem like this is all concentrated down there with them and they're doing it. It happens here. It happens right in our zip code. You know what I mean? But at the intervention level and the level of acceptability would not be there because I think you shared the video, I believe, Vernon.
Yeah, I did. Yep.
In the video, several of the people, but one guy in particular, I remember, he said, "Well, we need him in there because he has to finish what we started." So they clearly have their end game and their agenda in mind, and they're more so, I think, married to it's as long as it's not a Democrat, was the remark or something like that.
Gotta take your lumps if you want to. That's basically how they see it. I'm saying, we're gonna take our lumps. We're gonna take this hit. Because we see the bigger picture, you know what I'm saying? We don't mind taking this hit.
Once sacrifice is the bigger picture.
That's it, man. That's it.
I got to crack a few eggs to get it. So basically, sacrifice a few children
That's scary.
Well, the cowboy down there.
It's a scary
and
thing.
for the bigger picture.
But that's why we're national too. Like even though it was a southern state, like this, like I think this is probably the first Senate. Because I followed politics a little bit. I think it's the first Senate race that actually went national rather than staying within one state. I think that's the big thing. I think that is. I mean, you have President Trump looking out for Roy Moore, and even President Obama did a robot call for Don Jones. So I think it's huge. Right? It was definitely huge. And then when all this stuff came out, it was just like, listen, you guys like this dude, you guys love this dude, but don't take it that far. That was my end on that. Like don't sacrifice something terrible to bring something. Excuse me, something that is not even necessary. I mean, the same thing. I mean, control is one thing, but don't sacrifice for that. It's not.
Well, I got some numbers for you guys.
Yeah, hit us with them. Oh.
So this was at a certain point in the evening, and we all know that Doug Jones came to win this, but of the voters who were white and male, 74% went for Moore and 23% went for Jones.
Obvious.
Of the voters that were white and female, women, I should say, where 65% went for Moore, 32% went for Jones. Of the voters that were black and male, 7% went for Moore, the other 92% went for Jones. And of the voters that were women and also black, 3% went for Moore, and then 97% went for Jones. Now, what's important about this is that 35% and 30% of the voters were white, male, and female. The voters that tipped everything, 18% were the black women. So
thank God for the black woman. I'm telling you.
there's some statistics, some data.
I'm saying that's the most powerful race in the country, the black woman. Even though as a black culture we don't acknowledge that, but they're powerful.
That concludes part 1, and we'll be back shortly with part 2 and 3.